Hi, how you doing? Welcome to another video. It's not really going to be a big fun training video. This is going to be more of an educational video to talk about college and advice I wish I had before it and advice I wish I both had and took during it. So my college story is nothing crazy. I love acting and film. I wanted to be an actor. I still want to be an actor. I thought the best way if I was to go into a degree, because I didn't really want to do theater specifically, was to go into film. I'll try and act where I can, and we'll see how far I can go. I also wanted to go really far away from home because I wanted to be away from home, and it took going away from home to realize that I didn't want to be far away from home. I like being near home. The consequence of wanting to be far away from home is that I was looking for film schools farther away. I landed on a school that was a branch campus that did not offer film. But if you did like a program, you could go to the main campus school and then I could do film there. I ended up going. I did film for a year. Probably only took one actual film class, but the rest were your general education courses. And after that year, I was like, wow, I don't want to do this. I left that school and then had to figure out what I was going to do. First piece of advice that I wish that I was given or had was that I didn't have to go right into college right away. At that point, I was working at pretty stable job hours. I mean, I was in food service, so like stable hours was like getting home at 2 a.m., but it worked for me and my lifestyle at the time, and I was making good money. I wish I had taken a gap year, I think, is my first play, because it was in the middle of COVID. You know, I just graduated and that had all happened. It would have been much more financially beneficial for me to just work and save and research and just figure out, do I really want to do film? Where can I actually go? That kind of thing. In my brain, I wanted to get away so bad that I kind of let all that noise of, hey, stop and think for a moment, just like go to the wayside. That's a part of growing up and figuring out where you misstep and stuff. You know, at the moment, I felt like I was doing the right thing. Now using thoughts and logic probably didn't make sense. Hindsight is hindsight. I went to school for a year. The second thing I wish that I did was research more into actual degrees and programs, as well as look into other areas of study. My reputation was that I was a performer, an actor, and an entertainer, and so I was like, well, that's what I have to do. At the same time, I really enjoyed science and exercise and fitness and all of the intersections that come with that, and I didn't want to explore it for some reason. At the time, I just thought, well, everyone thinks I'm a film guy, so I'll be a film guy. That works. Don't do that. If you're gonna go to college, go for something that you want to study. It sounds like a really dumb piece of advice, but you'd be surprised how many people will decide what their studies are based on an external factor. And to a degree, I'm sure there's a logic that makes sense for those situations sometimes. I made my decision based on perceptions around me and not necessarily exactly what I wanted. I still want to be an actor. I still want to act. It's more of like a side hustle passion that I get to pursue and develop versus going to school for. It's not something that I need to do that badly in favor of something else I want to study, which was exercise and fitness and mental health and science and kind of understanding the body. Or 1 year of school down. Felt like I wasted it. Wish I took a gap year. The other thing is that high school is very quick to push college on you. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not ready to think about college. Because I remember thinking about like my college meetings that I had my senior year, junior year, going to the events and going to the tables and being like, this isn't for me. I don't like want to be here. I'm not interested in going up to these tables. I wish I carried myself with more of that attitude. Like my gut was telling me, this isn't for you. I pushed that down in favor of, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. College isn't for everyone. There's a lot of ways and a lot of avenues that you can take to be successful. And I am lucky to know a few people that are successful without college. Now, that being said, after a year of film school, I realized I needed to change. I didn't want to study this. And sometimes that's something you have to do. You have to get into the nitty-gritty of a degree to figure out you don't want to do it. So it's good to change early. Try not to change too late. But if you change late and it's for your passion and you know that what you're going to change to is what you want to do, that's great. I was lucky that I figured out in a year, okay, I want to switch. Thought about the things I like and landed on kinesiology, study of movement. And the reason that I landed on kinesiology, it was less science. There was no internship required. So it was kind of an easy shortcut to get a similar degree to exercise science. Do not make your decision on your degree because the curriculum seems easier than something else in your department. There is a high probability that I would have gone into exercise science rather than kinesiology. But because I was a year in and I wanted to get everything done, I thought if I have to look for an internship and do all these prerequisites, I'm not going to get this degree in 4 years. I'm going to have to be a 5-year student. I didn't want to be a 5-year student, so I picked kinesiology through all of my classes from my film degree into my free electives to get all my credits, and then did the program in 3 years. And while that's great, I wish I had utilized the requirements more. And what I mean by that is, it's not to say that I couldn't get an internship with a kinesiology degree. I certainly could have done that and gotten experience, but I didn't because I didn't have the requirement to do so. And that to me felt like a hack, that I could get this degree without working as hard. And I very, 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 very much wish I had not used that mindset. College can be a very great way to network and have resources available if you use them properly and if you understand what value that requirements bring to your program. If I had been required to get an internship, I very likely would have found a job with much less stress and a lot more security. And that's not to say I don't like my job. I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm in corporate fitness and wellness, and I enjoy doing that, and I figured that out for myself. But I didn't get there without a lot of stress and a lot of panic when it came to my last semester of college, because I realized I had nothing to show for it. The next big piece of advice is that when you're looking at degree requirements, you're saying, okay, I'm going to go to college. I have maybe 2 or 3 choices within a department for what program I can get into. Don't look at the criteria based on what is required in the degree. I think that I would have been a much more comprehensively successful student had I taken advantage of all of the resources and opportunities and requirements that came with certain degrees. Things that seem hard or scary and uncomfortable, they often heed the best results. Look at a diamond. You know the metaphor. I chose kinesiology. I was happy with my decision, and I thought, man, this is pretty fun. I kind of like this. I got a year into this degree and I was like, what am I going to do with this? The most common thing I would get asked is, are you going to be a gym teacher? Are you going to be a physical therapist? Are you going to get your doctorate? And I never had an answer. Even now, I don't really have an answer, which gets me into this next piece. When it comes to the fitness industry, if you are not 100% certain you're getting into a certain field, whether that be a type of therapy or athletic training or coaching, like if there's not a very specific title and you want to be in the fitness industry, just generally, you should be prepared to need to jump around to climb up on the ladder, unless you have an internship or some sort of connection that gets you involved so that you can build up that way. If you don't have like a very vivid image of what your course looks like for your life and career, it's very likely that you're going to need to jump around to different jobs to develop and get experience and work your way up within the industry. And I don't want to make that sound like it's a negative thing. It's just the reality. There's a lot of different ways you can go within the fitness industry and what you want to do. Some people can take a kinesiology degree and go into social work and try to figure out how to incentivize physical activity and movement so that people are healthier. Some people go into corporate fitness and wellness, like me. Some people go into assisted living care. There are wellness facilities for assisted living, and a kinesiology degree is a good way to get into that, because when you're looking at the study of movement, you're looking at movement across the lifespan. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go in, but this industry, at least in the scope that I'm discussing, you kind of have to jump around, dip your toes in a lot of different areas, and whether that's different areas of like assisted living versus corporate versus box gyms, or whether that's just within different companies of a subsect. So like me being in corporate wellness, going to another corporate wellness company, you have to dip your toes to understand kind of what your skill set within that area is. And that can be scary and that can be daunting. And it's something that I wish was discussed a little bit more in college, at least for me, knowing that I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I know I'm not the only person that thinks that way. I'm not that special. And I'm sure there are some people that, maybe not that I graduated with, but that were in the degree that I was in a year before, a year after, who are also unsure about what they're going to do and probably will apply to the job that I applied to when I graduated college. I wish there was some sort of class or lesson or something that was like, hey, this is what it's like getting into the fitness industry at the ground level. It would provide a little bit more security to know that I was going to have to be looking at jobs while also trying to work my way up in my current job in the off chance that something a little bit better came up. And there's a lot of nuance to that, and I understand that. It's something I discussed recently with one of my old professors, and he actually asked me the question. He was like, do you wish you knew this about the fitness industry? Would it have affected how you maneuvered your degree? And I was like, yes, I think it would. I think I would have been okay with kind of the idea of jumping around to different companies to try and figure out where I fit, but you don't figure it out until you're in your job and you need to start paying bills. And I felt very challenged when he asked me that question in a way that I appreciated, but I also wish I had knew before I graduated. And I think the last thing that I'll touch on is that, college isn't for everyone. This isn't a PSA that you need to have it all figured out and you have to get into college so you can actually get a job. Like I said, there are plenty of people I know who either aren't using their degree at all or never got one. Some people I know didn't graduate high school who are successful. Success is different for everyone. It depends on what your goals are. It's important to not compare yourself to other people. It's important to not look down on yourself or feel like you're being looked down upon just because someone has a degree and you don't. I'm at the ground level of the fitness industry, and I answer to a lot of people who are higher up in the industry. And I do that with an openness and an ear willing to listen. My goal has always been to learn and to be educated and educate as a result. I enjoy the way I maneuver things, and I think what I bring is an honest value to a company or a business. At the end of the day, that's all you can really bring. Doesn't matter how cutthroat, doesn't matter how nice you are. You either bring something to a company or a business or you don't. I just want to emphasize that college is not the difference between you having it or not having it. Your work ethic, your ability to listen, to learn, to educate, be educated, to serve. Those are the things that are going to make a comprehensive, successful employee. College can be a great tool, but it's important that if you're going to go to college, to use the college. And that sounds like weird, but you need to. There are resources and things that you probably don't know about. You need to ask questions. You need to say, hey, is there a way I could do this? Is there a way I can research that? Is there a way I can participate in this? A lot of those things are not just like handed out to you on day one. It's important that if you have a conviction about something, whether it's volunteering, participating in something, or trying to apply for an internship or trying to find a connection to a certain company, colleges have those resources, but they're not just handing them out like candy. To a degree, I agree with that philosophy, because if they gave you absolutely every opportunity and option to do anything you wanted within your degree, not a lot of people would do it probably for one reason or another. And that's not like a diss, but it's just the truth that like when you give someone the full Thanksgiving dinner, they can only put so much on their plate, right? Colleges provide a lot of resources and opportunities, but you need to seek them out and say, well, I want this on my plate. And that just requires talking to a professor, talking to an academic advisor, but it's important that you confront that, because that's what's going to get you where you need to go. If you want to do something and then do nothing towards that, how are you going to get it? It's not going to fall in your lap. And if it does, that's great, but you shouldn't live your life that way. College is a tool. College can be really good, but you can make college work for you. Don't have it be the other way around. If you have a professor who tells you about an opportunity or a volunteering thing that you should do because it's good for your resume, you should probably do it. Speaking with my old professor, I wish we did more, because not only is volunteering and participating in stuff good to make friends, make memories, meet people, network, it's also just good for your resume. Because if you were like me, you're graduating in 2 months and you have not a single thing to show for it. I volunteered for things. I went to a marathon and I directed people. I said, go that way. You can put that on your resume. It's something. It says, I showed up for something and I didn't care if I got paid for it. I was just there to help. An employer will see that. And if you have nothing else to show for it, you can at least say you did that. Take advantage of college. Take advantage of the opportunities and research available to you. It might not be perfect, but if you don't take advantage of it, you're never going to know where it could take you. So you might as well try, right?